Your experts,
in
plus Susan Sarandon and
5,
off-the-wall comic Eddie
4,
Izzard. Your local
3,
news is
Roll 4.
next.
2,
Sound
1.
squeeze.
Good evening, I'm Jay Rickard. The
15.
judge rules on the crash that killed Princess Diana. Do you know what's on the airplane you're flying?
10.
Plus, money makes the sports world go round, but how much is too much?
Squeeze it back.
And in
So by
5,
7.
4, 3,
Roll 7.
2,
It's all
1.
track 7.
You're watching Oklahoma's home
So by
team.
2 on Jay with Q.
This is 2 News NBC at 10.
So through my Q.
Some big news in Kansas City tonight and a great-looking four-day
Ready 3 in effects.
First, though, our
Q
top
take.
story this
So I
evening,
change the
mixed
graphic, change it.
messages making the CFS layoff
Ready 2 on a 2 shot.
For some involved. Meanwhile, about 1,200 of the 1,500 laid-off workers are expected to
Ready,
take
camera 2.
advantage of a two-day CFS job fair.
Take.
Pete Knutson here with the latest on this.
Ready 3 on Pete with no key. Ready camera 3. Take. Stand by key. Key in.
On Friday, if they still had a job at CFS today,
Key out.
but 10
Ready
people
VT1
wrote
with
wrong
sound.
letters. 7 were told they had been laid off when really they still had jobs. And 3 were told they had jobs when really
Roll 1.
they had been laid off.
Sound. Take.
Christina Morris usually cleans the apartment in the morning because she worked the night shift at CFS. And according to this letter she got on Friday, Christina escaped the layoff and was told to report to work this week. She and her fiance went out to dinner to celebrate.
Ready key.
I had
Key
prepared
in.
myself for the layoff, and then to find out that I had a
Key
job
out.
was really
Hey Martin, can you turn your headset off,
Doesn't
please?
seem to turn into a curse.
Thank
when
you.
Christina reported back, doesn't help to know she wasn't alone in getting
Stay
the
by
wrong
3 on
letter
Pete.
by mistake.
Half a dozen mistakes like that. I mean, that is, in my opinion, it's an unforgivable mistake.
This author Q.
And while most of the layoffs
Ready,
were
2 on a
effective
2
last
shot.
Friday, CFS says a handful of people were told they would lose their jobs within a couple of months.
Key take.
And of course, Jay, 10 mistakes.
3
out of
swing
the
over to
15
Jay, please.
letter CFS sent out is a small percentage. Small, unless you're one of those that got the wrong one. Exactly, that doesn't help those people at all.
Ready 3 on Jay.
Appreciate that.
Key take.
Well, if all our days
Step by
in
tower
January
cam.
could be this nice
Clean.
weather-wise, no
Clean.
complaints here.
It's okay.
Outside right now, clear,
Dissolve.
cool, dry, pretty nice. What about changes for the
Okay.
overnight? This Chief Meteorologist
Semi-camera
Jeff
1.
Fusilier in first forecast.
This author Q.
Good news, Jay, is I don't think we're
Stay
going
by
to see too many
key.
changes tonight. It'll stay a little bit breezy, and it should stay mostly clear. And it will, of course,
20.
cool down after all of
Key on.
January. Readings are slowly cooling down. We have the clear skies,
Key
we have
out.
the dry humidity.
Be a 3 in effects on Jay. 3 effect shot, please.
Drop, but we do have a southerly wind. It's going to stay breezy. That'll help to hold those temperatures from
10,
falling too far over.
9,
Here's what you
8,
can expect. Low to
seven,
mid-40s early tomorrow
6,
morning around 7 a.m.
5,
Heading off to work or
4,
school. Keep the
3,
jackets and the gloves handy.
2.
You won't need them all day. I'll have more on that.
Ready 3 in effects. Hold. Key take.
This news just
Stay by
in
your
tonight.
map.
A search is underway this evening for 5 inmates who fled the Delaware County Jail early this morning.
Dissolve.
Authorities say the inmates cut through some bars and mesh on a window at the jail in order to get out. The inmates were
Thank
being
you.
held on a variety of charges, including
Stay by 3 in
burglary,
effects.
theft, and resisting arrest.
Dissolve.
An historic
Ready
Tulsa home
VT2.
catches fire.
With
Twice,
key. Roll 2.
leaving An elderly man with minor burns.
Take.
The 3-story home was built back
Key
in
it.
1915. It caught fire last night when blankets left on top of a floor furnace ignited. Firefighters controlled the blaze, but it rekindled itself a few hours later.
Read that off,
bringing
Michelle.
Firefighters back to the
Ready 3 in
scene
effects. Clean.
of an even bigger fire.
Key take.
A French judge
Ready
decides
VT3,
who's
roll 3.
responsible for the death of a princess. Early reports
Take.
indicate that no
Ready
one
key.
alive is
Key
to
out.
blame for the crash that
Key
killed
out.
Princess Diana.
Ready 3 in
European
effects.
reports say the judge concludes the driver who died in the crash is the one responsible. The only charges the judge recommended applied to the paparazzi who failed to help after the crash. The official report is expected
Ready 3 in
in March.
effects. Take. Roll 4.
Do you know what's on board the airplane you're on?
Take.
A New York Times
Ready,
report
key.
says
Key in.
federal agents posing as passengers were able to
Key
get
out.
through security checkpoints
Ready
with
3 in
weapons
effects.
ranging from handguns
Showdown.
to grenades. U.S. Airways was the airline with the most violations. But overall, the FAA administrators
Ready 3 in effects.
say airport security is adequate.
Key take. Semi VT1.
Showdown
Roll
with
1.
Saddam continues in the northern
Dissolve.
no-fly zone. Reports from the Pentagon
Ready
say
VT2.
U.S. warplanes fired on 2 air defense sites today.
Roll 2.
after the airplanes were targeted by radar. The pilots
Squeeze.
say they thought they were about to be fired upon. with
Ready, key.
surface-to-air
Key in.
missiles. The Pentagon
Key out.
says 2 jets
Ready
dropped
3 in
a pair of
effects.
laser-guided
Impeachment.
bombs in response. Both planes returned safely to their base. in
Alright.
Texas.
Key take.
With
Semi
this trial
VT3.
set to start in the Senate this week, President Clinton's lawyers
Roll
sent a
3.
plea to Congress that essentially says
Dissolve.
not guilty. The
Ready,
President's
VT4.
formal reply to the Senate went to the Hill today
Roll 4.
as he met with the President of Argentina.
Squeeze.
And a 13-page document
No key
called
here.
Answers. Clinton denies perjury before the Ken-Starr grand jury in August and denies obstruction of justice.
Ready 3 in effects.
The letter calls the charges flawed and too vague and says there were no high crimes or misdemeanors, even if the facts are
Good take.
accepted. Well, it's
Ready,
official
double
tonight.
box.
Governor Keating now into his 2nd term as governor of this state, and after his inauguration earlier today,
You had
He's dancing the night away.
Ready,
NBC
boxes.
political
Take.
reporter Mike Brown
Ready,
is
Mike,
joining
with
us now
key.
from all of the partying going on there in Oklahoma City. Mike.
Take.
That's right, Jay. It's been a perfect day of celebration for
Read.
Governor Keating and his family, capped off here tonight at the Omniplex with a
Read.
second inaugural celebration, which they plan
Ready,
to
VT1
dance
with
and
sound.
party until midnight
Stand by, VT1.
tonight.
Yeah.
Governor Keating and, of course, Mrs. Keating, the First Lady, will enjoy that first dance in just a few minutes. But the day began with a picture-perfect outdoor inaugural celebration
Stand by, VT1.
on the steps of
Roll
the
one.
Capitol.
Sound. Dissolve. No keys. We'll go through all the keys again. Stand by live with key. It's all through Q. You're up.
And Governor Keating addressing the crowd here at Omniplex now. The First Lady and the Governor will, of course, enjoy that first dance with a balloon drop.
Read it live.
Secret that they had
Focus.
promising. This
Thank
celebration
you.
will continue here tonight
Read,
until
Michelle.
midnight. And, of course, tomorrow the Governor must, of course, get down to work and prepare for that special session on the oil crisis in Oklahoma. So there is more work ahead.
Read boxes.
Of course, that crisis will stare him right in the face tomorrow when he begins to work on the special session and then, of course, the start of the legislative session in February. But for now, it's celebration. Back to you.
Take your boxes.
Exactly right, Mike. Yeah, party time tonight. I got to ask what may seem to some a bit of a silly question. There was a lot of news about Kathy Keating's dress at the first inaugural. What's it look like tonight?
Much tailored.
Ready,
down.
set,
I
take.
hope, that we could allow you to see that. I don't know if our
Go to Kathy,
can,
Mark.
zoom in what is a maroon dress tonight, but it does not have a seal. Perhaps you can
That's
see it.
blue to me.
She said it would be more subtle, and it is this evening.
All right.
Ready,
Mike
3 in
Brown,
effects clean.
Appreciate that there at the Cowboy Hall.
Take.
Other news tonight, an eye on stocks. The Dow closing down 23
graphics
points
change
to
next.
9619.89. Some rallying high-tech and internet stocks sent the NASDAQ up 40 points, the seventh straight record close for that index, 2384.59.
Change.
Some sports
Ready,
notes
VT2
today, a lot
with key.
happening in the NFL, and it has nothing to
Roll
do
two.
with any of the teams in the playoffs.
Take.
Later on, we'll find out why Marty Schottenheimer called
Key
the press
out.
conference
Roll
at
7,
Kansas City.
please. Ready, camera 2.
Look now.
You take.
Fans can
Ready,
hardly
VT3.
believe the price being paid
Roll
by
3.
players and franchises these days.
Take,
This
music.
weekend, the
Ready,
Washington
VT4.
Redskins sold for $800 million. Next, a special report on what makes sports
Roll 4.
and why money talks.
And squeeze
How do
read.
children deal with bad relationships?
Ready, camera 1.
That's coming up in Connecting Your Kids. And Jeff
squeeze read.
Lavalier. He's got
Stand by
your
the mark.
3-point forecast.
Roll the mark. Fadus.